We watched the movie. I was amazed. I wanted to see it again. Learn the 3 ed ending pronunciations in this lesson. So in English we have 3 different pronunciations for ed verb endings. Let's look at the 3 different endings now. So when a verb ends in ed, we usually have these 3 sounds coming at the end. The t sound, in this example, watched. The d sound, for example, amazed. And the id sound, in this example, wanted. So those are the 3 sounds we have for ed endings. Let's go into the first sound in more detail. So when you have a base verb that ends in one of these sounds, you should add the t sound when you add ed. So if a base verb ends in the ch sound, you add t. The same with sh, k, s, f, and p sounds. For example, watch becomes watched. Don't say watched. It should be watched. It's one syllable. There's no extra syllable added. Similarly, with wash, it becomes washed. Like becomes liked. Now don't be fooled by the e at the end. Like ends with an e in the spelling, but the sound ending is k. So when we add the d, it should sound like liked. Liked. The same with mix. Now mix, the verb mix, ends with an x, but the sound it ends with is s. It's like an s sound. So mix becomes mixed. Laugh becomes laughed. The gh spelling represents the f sound in English. Laughed. And finally, hop, the p sound becomes hopped when you add an ed ending. So that's the t sound for when you have these types of verbs. When you add the ed ending, just add t. Remember, there's no extra syllable added on the end of these verbs. The next sound we're going to look at is the d sound. So when you have base verbs that end in one of these sounds, you add the d sound. For verbs that end in b, g, j, l, m, n, r, v, w, y, and z sounds, add the d ending. These are just a few examples I'll show you now. So sob ends in b, so it becomes sobbed. Beg, begged. Nudge, nudged. Now the dge ending represents the j sound, nudge, nudged. Sow, sowed. Play, played. Now sow and play end in w and y. These are actually vowel sounds, which we'll go into a bit later. But the spelling w and y, you should usually use the d sound when you add an ed ending. And finally, exercise becomes exercised. Now notice the ending of exercise. The spelling is se, but the sound is z, like a z sound. Exercise. So we just add the d ending. The pronunciation is d. Exercised. Okay, I hope that's a bit clearer now for you. we're going to go into the last sound now, the id sound. Now, you have to remember with this sound, we add an extra syllable. A syllable is like the beat of a word. For example, my name, Anthony, has 3 syllables, Anthony. So when we add the id ending to verbs, we add an extra syllable. Okay? Let's go into this one in more detail now. So the id sound is added to base verbs that end in D and T sounds. So this one's quite simple. For example, end becomes ended. Now notice I've added an extra syllable. End is 1 syllable, ended is 2 syllables. Like need becomes needed. So they're the D sounds, and the T sounds. Want becomes wanted, print becomes printed. And as I mentioned, you add an extra syllable to this verb. There you go. Now, we have one more area to look at. This is when a verb ends in a vowel. When it ends in a vowel, we add the D sound, just like we saw before. So earlier I said the letters W and Y actually represent a vowel sound. And with vowels, we add the D ending. Okay? When a base verb ends in a vowel, add the D ending. So for example, free becomes freed. Lie becomes lied. Ski becomes skied. Row becomes rode. Enjoy becomes enjoyed. Now row and enjoy end in W and Y. These are not vowel letters, but the sound they make are vowel sounds. So they follow this rule. So practice these pronunciations. When you see the word, think about the rule and how it should be pronounced. Now, this rule also works with adjectives, for example, amazed or fascinated. Okay, so you can follow this rule for some adjectives that end in ed. Some adjectives don't follow this rule. For example, wicked. This K sound at the end doesn't follow the rule of verbs. We add an id. So wicked is an exception. There are other exceptions as well. Crooked, naked, ragged. So there are a few exceptions for adjectives, but generally they follow these rules. So until next time, study hard and have a great day.